Greetings, everyone. This is Matt Fiello, Technical Marketing Engineer with the Compute BU, and we're back with another Intersight Managed Mode Expert Series video, and we're going to be discussing flow control policies, which is one of our domain policies that gets consumed by the domain profile. I'm going to show some slides, talk about some principles of flow control, and then we're going to go to a demo. Okay, so in talking about flow control policy, we probably ought to touch on a couple principles of flow control. And there's really two ways that you can handle flow control. One's priority flow control, in which case you're dictating the pause, no drop behavior per lane and class of service. So we're tying in and working with the overall system QoS policy. And if you're not doing priority flow control, then you could do link level flow control, in which case that pause and no drop behavior is dictated on the entire link. And certainly your network administrator should be able to help you pinpoint which behavior you would need per your individual use case. Okay, so what is flow control in context of the unified computing system? Well, by default, your fabric interconnect is going to try to negotiate priority flow control with the upstream switch. That's why the default setting on the policy when you create it is set to auto. Okay, if that negotiation succeeds, then your priority flow control is enabled, and of course, link level for the entire link is disabled. If that negotiation in auto mode fails, you can set the policy to on to try to force it, okay? And of course, if you're desiring for entire link level flow control, you can take priority out of the picture and just set the policy to mode off. So here's the settings. They're well explained, and let's move on to the next slide. Now, as far as where this policy is used in Intersight Managed Mode, it's a domain policy. It's part of a domain profile, but it's also a nested policy. So it's not apparent until you go to configure an Ethernet port or port channel uplink, and you click on the configure button. Then you'll see that you have access to consume the flow control policy. Again, it's recommended whenever you want a no-drop behavior upstream as far as per lane with priority flow control or the entire link. From a UCS proper perspective, like what happens kind of from the server ports down to the VIC, there's always a no-drop behavior. That's just part of UCS. It's baked into UCS. So really, we're just talking about northbound. Okay, as far as verification, let's go to the CLI, and you're going to want to log in to your FI SSHN and connect to NXOS, and then you can do a show in ETH in either the uplink port with priority flow control, or you could do a show in port channel and go that route as well. But you can see from our auto setting in the policy that we are set for auto as far as the mode here. And here we're verifying that we've set our policy priority flow control to on, force it on, and we're verifying the settings here. So in this verification, we can see that the priority flow control in the flow control policy has been set to off, and we can verify it here. And since we set priority flow control off, link level flow control is on, okay, and we've enabled both send and receive directions, and you can see that here. Okay, so this final slide is just to kind of tie it all together visually and show relationships. So we have a domain profile on the left side here. Part of that domain profile is either a single port policy for both fabrics or fabric-specific port policies. Kind of deals with if you're using vSANs and if those vSANs are different for each fabric for uplink. But when you go in to configure the ETH uplink port or port channel configuration, then you're going to get exposed to the flow control policy. So that kind of shows you the relationships. A couple notes here. If you are configuring Ethernet uplink port channels, a fourth policy will appear here. That's link aggregation, and we'll cover that in another video. Also, just as a confusing item here, you have this Ethernet network group policy, and a lot of folks want to select something for that. Well, for that use case, okay, to use that policy, you really need to be in a disjoint layer 2 scenario or be using appliance ports. But for, I would say, probably 90% of UCS customers that are just using uplink ports and uplink port channels, Ethernet, you're not going to actually have anything for Ethernet network group policy. You're going to just keep that without a policy reference. Okay, so that's just been a past confusion item to a lot of people. Just want to clarify that. So now let's move on to the demo. Okay, so now we're here in Intersight, Infrastructure Service, Policies. We're going to create a new policy. I like using the filters. I know I'm creating a domain policy, so I'm going to filter this down. Select Flow Control. We have to give the policy a name. Click Next. And here's our three options for this policy. We know from the slides we reviewed that the auto setting is configuration that the FI can auto-negotiate with the next top switch for Ethernet uplink and try to negotiate priority flow control with that next switch. If that negotiation should fail and you want to try to force it, then that is the on setting. And then if you're not using priority flow control, which again is per lane flow control, so it uses the class of service definitions in the quality of service policy for pause and no drop. If you're not doing that, you can click to off here, and this does entire link level flow control. And you can actually set receive and send for link level, either or both. For our policy, we're going to select auto, and we're going to create the policy. And that completes the demonstration. This concludes our video about flow control policy in Intersight Managed Mode. I hope you were able to learn something new here with this video. Please check out our other Intersight Managed Mode Expert Series videos. Thanks.